कलशोदधिकौ श्रीवासराघवगुरोस्तनयं ततश्च विद्या अवाप्य विबुधोत्तमतां दधानं कुर्वे सदा हृदि गुरुं करुणाकराख्यं लक्ष्मीनाथ समारंभां नाथयामुनमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां यो नित्यमच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुक्मव्यामोहतस्तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये। श्रीमान् वेङ्कटनाथार्यः कवितार्किककेसरी वेदान्ताचार्यवर्यो मे सन्निधत्तां सदा हृदि. And one more slide that I have not added for Alvar. Bhutam Sarasya Mahadahvaya Bhattanath Shri Bhaktisara Kulashekara Yogi Vahan Bhaktangrirenu Parakala Yatindra Mishran Srimat Parankusha Munim Pranatosmi Nityam. Am I properly audible or should I be louder? Please let me know.
It is clear.
Okay. So a very quick recap. We saw about the story of Alvar, that is the fourth Alvar, Tirumarisai Alvar meeting Shiva. Alvar being Bhargaviya, he also had a third eye. We saw about that story. Then we saw about his verse that was relating Vishnu, Brahma and Shiva. So there are people who say that there were totally different faiths. Worshippers of Shiva were a different religion, worshippers of Vishnu were a different religion. Later on, all of these collided and became Sanatana Dharma. Those the people who say such things, like today in Tamil Nadu, the DMK is saying, for example, we do not accept that statement. So when they say that Sanatana Dharma came later, we very strongly have a problem with it, because the word Sanatana itself means eternal. And the eternal scripture of Sanatana Dharma, which is the Veda, is mentioning these deities. Therefore, we need to understand and evolve. So today, since we spoke about what the Alvar said about Vishnu, what did he say? He said Vishnu is Paramatma, you have to do bhakti to him, you have to surrender to him. And then he said Brahma is Vishnu's putra and so on. So what does he treat Vishnu as? He treats Vishnu as Paramatma. Now this Paramatma has a term, right? It has two components. One is Parama, one is Atma. Atma we know. What does Parama mean? It means what? Supreme. Like if you say Parama Yogi, it means Supreme Yogi, the greatest Yogi. In that sense. So we are going to look at the concept of Paratva today. Paratva means the state of, in this context, of course, the word para has multiple meanings in Sanskrit, but in our context, Paratva means the state of or the property of being the supreme. Who possesses Paratva? Paramatma possesses Paratva. Who does not possess Paratva? Jiva does not possess Paratva. Very simple. Now, the meaning of Paratva has been told. Do we really believe in Paratva in Vedanta? That is a question that could be asked. Why? There is nothing big, nothing small. There is nothing great, nothing inferior. Everything is equal. In this manner, there are several statements in the scriptures, in the Vedic scriptures, that appear to say in this manner. They say that there is no superior or inferior, there is no greater, no lesser, there is no higher, no lower. Everything is one and the same. There are statements that say in this manner in the scriptures. When the scriptures have said so, can we accept that one being is going to be supreme? Can we accept that one being is going to be supreme? See, if everybody is supreme, then nobody is supreme. Both mean the same thing. Is that understood first? If everybody is supreme, if you are also supreme, I am also supreme, everybody is supreme, then that supreme will only be called as normal. So the word supreme means what? What does it mean? It is a superlative form. What does that mean? There is normal. Then something different and higher than that is called superior. And the most superior is called supreme. These two words, superior and supreme, cannot exist if there is no difference. What am I trying to say? I am trying to say that if you tell me that Sanatana Dharma is superior to adharma, then it automatically implies that Sanatana Dharma is different from adharma. That is about the word superior. What about supreme? If you say Sanatana Dharma is the supreme, it means two things. It means two things. What does it mean? It means nothing is superior to Sanatana Dharma. So the first meaning that is implied when I say Sanatana Dharma is supreme is that there is nothing superior to Sanatana Dharma. Why? Because Sanatana Dharma is supreme. Then what else does it imply? It implies that everything other than Sanatana Dharma, maybe some of them can also be supreme and share a space, maybe or may not be, we can see that later. But definitely the majority is going to be inferior to Sanatana Dharma. That is implied when I say Sanatana Dharma is supreme. Why? Because you cannot have a supreme if you do not have something inferior to it. Is this clear? In our context, it is because Jiva is inferior that we call the other superior being, which is indeed the supreme being, as the supreme being. Suprema, Parama, Para, these words refer to supremacy. So Paratva means supremacy. Therefore, Paramatma possesses Paratva. Paramatma possesses supremacy. So, if I say he is Paramatma, it automatically means that those who are not at the level of Paramatma, that is us, we are inferior to him. We can definitely not be superior to him. Why? Because he is the supreme. So only out of respect, here and there, Paramatma would behave as though he is inferior. He behaves like a bhakta of his own bhakta. He behaves like a sevaka of his own sevaka. In this manner, Bhagavan performs leelas. We have seen that in many scriptures. But in reality, Paramatma remains the supreme being at all points of time, in all aspects. So, he is eternally supreme in all aspects. Okay. Now coming a little more closer to the differences between the different schools of Vedanta. If somebody asks, is this valid in Vedanta? We should first think anything. If they are asking, is this valid in Vedanta? Is this accepted in Vedanta? There are certain things that are accepted in Vedanta. When you say in Vedanta, it means what? What does Vedanta have? Vedanta has different schools of Vedanta. There is Advaita, there is Dvaita, there is Vishishtadvaitha, there is Dvaitadvaita, there is Shuddhadvaita, there is Achintya Bheda Bheda. So many different schools and names they say. So, in Vedanta, there are certain things that are commonly accepted by all schools and certain things that are accepted by some schools and certain things that are accepted only by one specific school. These differences are the reason why we say there are so many different schools of Vedanta. So, coming to the topic of Paratva, I said that Paramatma is the supreme being. We are not supreme. The second we say that he is supreme, it implies that everybody cannot be supreme. Why can't everybody be the supreme? Because if everybody is supreme, nobody will be supreme. What does that mean? It sounds nonsensical. No, it is not nonsensical. If we say that everybody is supreme, what does the word supreme mean? Supreme means better than everybody else. Definitely not poorer than anybody else. Better than everybody else is what is meant by supreme. If I am also supreme, you are also supreme, everybody is supreme. In mathematics, they say there is a theorem called sandwich theorem. What does it say? If A is greater than B, and B is greater than C, and C is greater than A, if somehow you arrive at that kind of a situation, you are actually having A equal to B equal to C. Why? Because in our case, we have, if I am supreme, nobody is superior to me. So I am greater than or equal to you. But you are also supreme. So there is nobody greater to you. I just said I am greater than or equal to you. Now you have said there is nobody greater to you. What is left behind? The only possibility left behind is that I am equal to you. But if all of us are equal, then there will be no supremacy. So, a person who is supremely smart should be smarter than everybody else. Only then we can call that person as supremely smart. If everybody is going to be at the same level of IQ, if everybody has an IQ of 60, we will not call anything as supreme. But if everybody has 60, then some people have 100, some people have 120, some have 140, some have 160. And above 160, let us assume that nobody has IQ. Then what will we say? In terms of IQ, the supreme person is this person who has 160 IQ. Why am I going round and round on the same topic? I am again and again saying that if you have infinite number of beings who are called as supreme, then it will not make sense at all. Therefore, the jivas have to be treated as inferior. Paramatma has to be treated as superior. He is superior to everybody else. He is the supreme being. Now, in schools of Vedanta, does this not sound like rejecting Advaita? If I say that Paramatma is supreme, you have called it Paramatma, therefore it is different from Jiva. Will Shankaracharya agree? He will agree. And he will also disagree. In Advaita, as I have said before, there are two dashas that we should see. Vyavaharika dasha and Paramarthika dasha. The supreme reality, Paramartha, there Jivo Brahmaiva. There Jiva is indeed the supreme Brahman. There is no difference. There is no scope for supremacy also. There it is just called Brahman, Atma. There is no need to call it Paramatma anymore because there is only one Atma. Therefore, this logical statement that you will run into problems if you say that every Jiva is also going to be equal to Paramatma, that is not a problem for Shankaracharya because in Paramartha, there is only one Atma. The other Jivas are not there. So when the statement is said, Jivo Brahmaiva, when a Mahavakya is said, when it is said, Tattvam Asi, when it is said, Aham Brahmasmi, and so on, the meaning there is not as literal as we might expect it to be. It means that in reality, if I say that you are that thou art, whatever they call it, that thou art is more archaic English. You are that is the way in which we call it in modern English. The meaning of tat tvam asi, literally. Here, when Shankaracharya uses the meaning, when he uses the statement, the meaning implied is that the perception of that. What does that mean? That is the perception of that. Why should we say perception of that? We have to say it that way because in Paramartha, which is the supreme reality as per Advaita, nothing exists other than one Atma. Since a single Atma exists in Advaita, wherever you see anything more than one, it is only a perception. That perception is caused due to ignorance, avidya. And coming out of this ignorance is the supreme moksha. This is how Adi Shankaracharya has taught. And of course, his Purvacharya and the Acharyas after him who follow him. So, in Paramartha, because there is only one Atma, there is no need to call anything as supreme. You call it as supreme, you call it as non-supreme, it doesn't make any difference, it doesn't make any sense. In Vyavahara, that is where there is avidya, that is where there is perception. And within the realm of perception is where it was told, He Shvetaketo Tatatvam Asi. Now, He Shvetaketo, to Shvetaketu, his father is telling, his father is giving a long explanation. Towards the end of that explanation, he makes the statement, which is called as the Mahavakya. This statement uses words like that and you. You are that. That is the statement, right? That thou art. Tat tvam asi. Tat, that. Tvam. Tvam means thou. Thou means you. Then asi. Asi means art. That is R-A-R-E today in modern English. So, there is a word called that. There is a word called you. But does that really exist? No, it does not exist in Paramartha. Do you really exist? No, I don't really exist in Paramartha. Actually, I exist, but I exist as that single Atma and not as a separate entity. So I don't have a name and a form the way you look at it. So that means that when the Mahavakya is used in Advaita, the meaning taken is the perception of that is the perception of you. This is the meaning conveyed by the simple, seemingly very simple statement, Tat Tvam Asi. But Tat means the perception of that. Tvam means the perception of you. In this manner, the Advaiti has explained. So, the perception is being equated. There also, there is no perception that is superior to another perception. So, there is no issue there. Within the realm of illusion, there are different states, right? There is a Saguna Brahman, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. Then you have the normal jivas. There is some level of differentiation. There is some taratamya. Therefore, within that realm, it is accepted that there is a supreme being. But the very belief that there is a supreme being is itself a result of ignorance as per Shankaracharya. Why? Because that you are only that. You realize that. Then what will happen? Then you will be that. You are already that. You are going to continue being that. But in between, whatever ignorance was there, that ignorance is going to disappear. And therefore, there is no need to call the Supreme Being as the Supreme Being. Therefore, in Advaita, as per Advaita, in the state of supreme reality, which is indeed the supreme reality as per Advaita, there is no paratva of the Atma. If Atma does not possess paratva, who possesses it according to Advaiti? Nobody. Why nobody? Because nobody exists other than the Atma. Only the Atma exists. And that Atma also does not have paratva. Paratva is a guna. The Atma in Paramartha, as per Advaita, is nirguna. It is void of guna. Therefore, now there are some people who are going to come and say, how can you translate nirguna as void of guna? Nirguna means gunatita. It means beyond the gunas. But when you say beyond the gunas, it could be interpreted as beyond the classification of gunas. It could be also interpreted as beyond the mixture of three gunas. If you use the first interpretation, you will arrive at Shankaracharya's usage. If you use the second interpretation, you will arrive at Bhagavad Ramanuja's usage. So, in Advaita Vedanta, to cut everything short, in Advaita Vedanta, the concept of Paratva is not accepted. Is it accepted elsewhere? It is accepted in Vishishtadvaitha. It is accepted in Dvaita. It is accepted in Shuddhadvaita. And so on. It is accepted in Achintya Bheda Bheda. So, do we really believe it in Vedanta? The Advaiti does not believe. The Advaiti accepts it only within the realm of illusion. The Advaiti does not accept its existence in the realm of supreme reality. Whereas, for the Vishishtadvaiti, it is always accepted. Why? Because such a state where there is only one Atma and nothing else, no space, no time, nothing, no guna, that Atma does not think, the Atma does not do anything, it has no ability, it is attributeless. That kind of a state of existence is not accepted by the Vishishtadvaiti. So the Vishishtadvaiti says, at all points of time, there are gunas. At all points of time, there are infinite Atman. Why? You look at it yourself. 5,000 years ago, was there Jiva and was there Paramatma? Yes. 2,500 years ago? Yes. 1,200 years ago? Yes. 120 years ago? Yes. Today? Yes. What does it imply? Has anybody got moksha? Now, this is a topic of debates between Advaitin and Vishishtadvaitin. The Advaiti is asked whether he accepts that somebody has got the supreme moksha. If anybody realizes the supreme reality, then how could ignorance still remain? Because I am still seeing Bheda. I am supposed to be the same as you. But even if I don't realize and you realize, the very differentiation between you and me, having been born out of ignorance, should disappear. And therefore, I should stop existing as myself, you should stop existing as yourself. As soon as you realize, automatically Paramartha state should be reached. But we are not in that state. We know we are not in that state. Why? Because I have a laptop in front of me. Something is different. If there is more than one, you know immediately. I am able to perceive things. Others are able to perceive things. Therefore, we are not in the state of Paramartha as explained by Advaita Vedanta. We are in the state of Vyavahara. So, this Vyavahara Paramartha, Vyavaharika Paramarthika, that is extremely important in Advaita. Most of the questions are answered based on this classification only. Most of the questions on philosophy, on Advaita philosophy. Now, is there then a need for Paratva? The Advaiti rejected Paratva. He is also a school. The Dvaiti accepts Paratva. He is also a school. The Vishishtadvaiti is there in between. What is he going to do? Should he accept Paratva or should he reject Paratva? We already gave the answer. We said that the Vishishtadvaiti accepts Paratva. The Vishishtadvaiti accepts that the Supreme Being is having supreme qualities. How? The Supreme Being repels away all bad qualities and is the group of treasure troves of endless auspicious qualities of endless magnitude. Therefore, in two different ways, supremacy is being shown by Ubhayalinga, by Ubhayalingatva, the superiority to everybody else, which is in turn called as supremacy, is shown by Paramatma. This is how the Vishishtadvaiti presents it. Okay, now we have said that the Vishishtadvaiti accepts Paratva. We have explained why the Vishishtadvaiti accepts Paratva. If he is different from you and if he does not have the problems that you have, and he is in a state that is better than your state, then he is definitely supreme. This is the argument. Now, this has been said. But should you really need to believe in Paratva? Could there be advantages of believing in a supreme being? Could there be disadvantages of believing in a supreme being? We have to look at that. That is what we are seeing, right? So the need for Paratva and the explanation of Paratva, we are looking at them together because we need to understand what schools have said, but we should also know why they have said so. Why have they said so? Because there is a need to accept Paratva. What is the need to accept Paratva? Saying it is there in the scripture is not going to be enough. Why? Because the Advaiti reads the same scripture. The Advaiti studies the same scripture. And if it is the Veda, the Advaiti has learned the same scripture by Shruti. The Advaiti is going to say, no, 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 those same words have different meanings. Therefore, it is not possible to always establish any concept, be it Paratva or something else, by saying it is there in the scripture. We do say such things. It might be true as well, but depending on the situation, the context has to be optimized. Now, we have gone to the need for Paratva. What is the need? Are there any benefits of Paratva? Of believing that there is a supreme being? Krishna says, right, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavaha. I am the Lord of everybody. I am the Lord of everything. He says, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavaha. I am the Lord of everything. I am the greatest. There are 2-3 statements in Gita where Krishna talks about him being the supreme being. And therefore, when people say that Bhagavad Gita was based on Quran, we cannot accept it. Because whatever it says is very, very much different. Now, anyway, coming back to Sanatana Dharma, what are the benefits of accepting in Paratva? One, you will not want to do wrong things. If you know there is somebody superior to you watching you. When my mother was watching, I did not eat mud. Why? Because although I was only 3 years old, I knew that mother will beat me if I eat mud, if I eat sand. What would mother do? Mother would beat me up. And therefore, I did not do it. I knew that I would be punished by the teacher for copying in the exam. Therefore, I did not copy. I knew that I would be punished for not having a proper attendance, and therefore I attended college properly. In this manner, when there is a sense of a superior being, and when there is a sense of that superior being having control over you, that is when you or me or any of us at the end of the day would try to move away from bad qualities. Okay, is there anything else that could make us to move away from bad qualities? Yes, the goodness of the Supreme Being in our context. But we are looking at the need for Paratva. The need for Paratva, how are you going to bring goodness as a need? We are saying that people get a level of faith, a level of encouragement by believing in a Supreme Being. Rakshishyati iti Vishwasa. He is there to protect me. I have that faith. That faith is Rakshishyati iti Vishwasa. Bhagavan will protect me. That faith. So, when bad things happen, knowing that Bhagavan will help us, that gives us a mental level of peace, and it keeps us calm and ensures that we don't take actions in haste. So by admitting the existence of somebody superior, we have multiple benefits. We mentioned calmness, we mentioned faith and encouragement to work harder. We mentioned that it also takes you away from bad qualities. What does it take you towards? It takes you towards good qualities. And thus, there are several advantages of believing in a Supreme Being. What more advantage could there be? There could be an advantage. Let us say you have scriptures. Bhagavad Gita is a scripture. Let us consider Bhagavad Gita. Now, you people are learning Bhagavad Gita. You are attending some online class and you are learning, let us say. The School of Ancient Wisdom has organized Bhagavad Gita classes. Let us say you are going there and learning. I, on the other hand, let us say, I am a big fraud. I want to twist Bhagavad Gita as per my own whims and fancies. And for that reason, I first remove certain shlokas. Then I add certain shlokas. What happens? That Bhagavad Gita, which originally has only 700 shlokas and is being preserved by you by in the form of learning, that is getting corrupted by me, and a fake version is being produced that is having 745 verses, let us say. Tomorrow, one new person comes from somewhere. That person asks, how many shlokas are there in the Gita? You answer saying 700. I answer saying 745. That person asks, can I find any study material for Bhagavad Gita? You present your version. I present my version. This is a very simple example with just two people. But in a population, there are n number of people saying n number of things. Isn't that correct? Now, in a school, if some teachers say that it is a holiday, if some teachers say that it is a holiday but there is class, and if some teachers say that yes, you are supposed to have class, but right now we have decided not to hold it, all the students can go home. Which teacher can we believe? Three people saying three different things. We should, in the ideal case, try to find out the principal's opinion. Why? Because there is nobody above the principal. Therefore, when the principal says that yes, it is a holiday, then it is a holiday. If the principal says no, the students should go and study, then they have to go and study. Coming back to our previous example, if there is a supreme authority on scripture, then if there is a supreme authority on scripture, then the words of all others would stand inferior to the words of this supreme authority. Isn't that correct? So what would be the benefit of a supreme authority? It would prevent the learning of misinterpretations, and it would facilitate the learning of the correct interpretations. So having a supreme being in a school or college as a decision maker is very useful. In armies, having generals and commanders, every unit will have a commander, every set of groups will have a commander. Why is that so? That has because there is a benefit to it. Let that person take decisions. That person's decision is final. In our case, Paramatma's decision is always the final. So there is a great need for Paratva. The need. Why do we need? Why do we have to accept it? Whether or not it is a fact, we have to accept it. Why? Because it is logical. It is helpful. It takes us towards the better path. In this manner, we could keep saying things. But most importantly, we are not saying whether or not it exists, you believe in it. We are saying you should believe in it because it really exists. That state of Paratva really exists. Therefore, you should really believe in it. Is this understood? So the Siddhanta is that there is indeed a supreme state of existence. That supreme state of existence is attributed to Paramatma. This much all the Vaishnava Sampradayas have said. Is this clear?
Yeah, it is clear. Only one point is you had earlier explained, but we have, at least I have forgotten, why Paratva has no bad qualities.
Why should he have any bad quality?
Yeah,
by definition, Paramatma is supreme in all aspects. Okay. This supremacy of Paramatma, how do we explain it? We explain it by saying that Paramatma is supreme in all aspects. That means you talk about anything. Running, he is the supreme. Swimming, he is the supreme. Thinking, he is the supreme. Speaking, he is the supreme. Character, he is the supreme. As he is the supreme when it comes to character as well. How do you say that a person has the best character? That is when the person does not have any bad character. Therefore, due to this supremacy, due to this paratva, it is clear, it is understood by us that due to him being Paramatma, he is void of bad qualities.
Okay, clear. Thank you.
So,
but another thing is, see, such a huge creation has been done. Now science is telling there are billions and billions of universes. Somebody, I mean, it
our
is
scriptures have
natural to
also
accept paratva. No, it is so fundamental.
sorry.
Existence of paratva is to be just looking at the expanse of the universe. You just go out now in the night,
It
this
is
thing,
not.
and look
It
at
is
the
not
night
that
sky.
easy.
You know
The
it is
same sign,
paratva.
the same science that accepted that so many billions and billions of universes might be there, that same science, whatever it said about universes and multiverses and whatever, that same science has not yet accepted that there is a supreme being in existence. Science does not accept the concept of paratva because science says that for me to believe in it, there needs to be proof. Now, if you show the entire universe to it and say, look, this is proof, scientists will say, look, whatever you are presenting is not scientific proof. What qualifies as scientific proof? Something that can be manually tested and found out. How do I test and find out? How do I know that all of these universes really came from a sentient being? Why should it be a supreme being? Can't it be nothing? What if everything came out of nothingness? What if everything came out of one single ball of non-living matter? In this manner, the scientist will question. Why should it be sentient? This question that is being asked today by scientists is something that was asked during the days of Vedavyasa also. When science says there are many universes, we also accept that there are many universes. But where science disagrees, the questions that it is asking today are the same questions that it asked us before also. We answered it a long time back. Unfortunately, they cannot digest it. Therefore, they are still coming and saying the same things and putting forth the same arguments again and again. Now, it is not possible for us to logically establish the existence of a supreme being, a Paramatma, who is Nimitta Karana, Upadana Karana, and Sahakari Karana. Sahakari Karana we can ignore for now, it gets added up. Who is the creator and also the raw material source for creation. How did things come out in the universe? From where did it come out? They came from Paramatma only. Why? Because before creation, what was there other than Paramatma? Nothing. So you will have to accept that everything came from Paramatma. Then you will also have to say, how did it come out of Paramatma? The Vedas say Paramatma desired, Paramatma thought. He had a sankalpa. He desired, he decided. Every desire of Paramatma is a decision which comes into action and becomes a reality. Therefore, when Paramatma decided to create the universe, what happened? The universe got created. Why did it get created? Because Paramatma wanted to create it. Therefore, the creator of the universe is Paramatma. So we have to, as per the Vedic school, we have to say Paramatma is the creator. And Paramatma is also the source from which, the raw material from which all the universe came out. Can you establish this by using logical reasoning without using the support of scriptures? You cannot. That is where the gap is. Okay, nobody can. Vedavyasa says it is not possible. Therefore, we also accept.
Thank you.
So, all the Vaishnava schools accept the concept of Paratva. Advaita accepts the concept of Paratva within the realm of Vyavahara. I cannot say that Advaita does not accept, but I can say that Advaita does not accept. Why? Because in Paramartha, which is the actual state of reality, the very real sense of being, there it does not exist, says Advaita. So this is how there is a difference. But among the Vaishnava schools also, Does anybody else have paratva in all aspects? What about a person who attains moksha? A person who attains moksha would still be inferior to Bhagavan. Oh, but scriptures say he will be equal to Bhagavan in all aspects. That means he will be equal to Bhagavan in all general aspects. It means he will also have infinite knowledge. He will also have infinite compassion. He will also have infinite ability. Oh, but if he has infinite ability and Paramatma has infinite ability, then whose decision will work? No. Despite all the abilities, the Jiva will still remain bound by the Paramatma. And therefore, whatever is wished by the Paramatma is what is going to be wished by the Jiva. It is going to be synchronous. And for that reason, there is not going to be any conflict between Jivatma and Paramatma. Furthermore, we could point out things like Paramatma being eternally in that state, whereas the Mukta has just entered that state. Paramatma is the cause of the state of moksha, whereas Jivatma is only experiencing the state of moksha. It has been granted the state, but it does not have the ability to grant that state. So there is a difference. And there, all the Vaishnava Sampradayas agree. Then comes the category of Nitya Suris. Muktas, you said, okay, at some point of time only they got moksha. But the Nitya Suris, they have eternally been in the state of mukti. You call them Nitya Muktas. So what about them? Are they not equal to Bhagavan? They all have infinite strength and everything, but they are all servants of Bhagavan, and he is their Lord. That is how the arrangement is. But if they are all equal, does it not mean that they are all Paramatma as well? No, they are not. So, the Nitya Suris are all Jivas only. They are not Paramatmas. Although they have eternally been in eternal bliss and eternal knowledge and so on, they have also been the servants of Bhagavan since eternity. And they, being 100% pure, made of Shuddha Sattva, will not change their quality in any manner.
It's very clear because you explained in the first or second session. That is very clear. Thank you so much.
So Paratva is not there with Nitya Suris. Paratva is not there with the other Muktas. Paratva is not there with people who have not even attained moksha, like us. Paratva is there only with Paramatma. Now, inside this, again, two questions can be asked, whether we want to go deeper into Vishishtadvaitha or we want to go a little outside. Outside Vishishtadvaitha, what is it that describes the Paratva? For instance, Shuddhadvaita says that having all auspicious qualities in full is what constitutes Paramatma, whereas having some of these qualities repressed. Why? Because in the natural state is a state of Paramatma. Paramatma state is where the qualities are in full, and where they are suppressed and repressed and they are compressed, there it is Jivatma. So Jivatma does not have infinite Ananda, it has some amount of Ananda. Once it gets moksha, what happens? It is a different situation. So in this manner, there is a reason given behind the Paratva. What constitutes the Paratva? He is the Sheshi of all. He is the Shariri of all. In this manner, as Vishishtadvaitin would say. Dvaitin would say he is the Lord of all, Master of all. So Shuddhadvaita would say, yes, we accept all that, but more importantly, he has the auspicious qualities at an infinite level. And that which is being compressed and reduced in the case of a jiva, when that jiva attains moksha, that again expands. In this manner, Shuddhadvaiti has explained it. So Paratva has been explained by different schools in different manner, but all the Vaishnava schools accept that there is indeed Paratva. Deshika Sampradaya is going to go one step further and say that Lakshmi is also having Paratva. Just like how Vishnu has Paratva, Lakshmi also has Paratva. That is being said in Deshika Sampradaya. Why is it that Swami Vedanta Deshika and everybody who came after him believe in this manner, whereas the followers of Manavala Mamunigal, who is called Varavara Muni, they do not believe in it? What is this cause of difference? We will see that most probably in the next class. We will try starting the next class with that.
So thank you very much. It was very good explanation as usual. Thank you.
Okay. If there is any other question, please feel free to let me know. As I do not carry material in prayer, I always have some extra slides with me. I don't know how much I'm going to teach. They say when Hiranyakashipu was coming and asking Prahlada, where is Hari? Where is Hari? Show me Hari. Is he in this pillar? Is he in that pillar? Hari went in all the pillars. Why? Because he did not know which pillar is going to be pointed out. Did Hari really not know? No, he did not want to know. If there is something that he really does not know, he behaves as though he does not know. And therefore he enters into all the pillars to ensure that Prahlada's words are true. He has already been existing in all of them since forever. That is the meaning that is taught by the scriptures, that he is Antaryami. However, in such a state where if the pillar is broken, he would be coming out as Narasimha. Bhagavan was there in all the pillars, they say. That is another lesson for us. The lesson taught by that story is that we should always try to ensure that when there is something important, we try anything and everything to make sure that it gets worked out perfectly. Prahlada's word should not go wrong. Wherever he points out, wherever Hiranyakashipu is going to break, we do not know. But wherever Hiranyakashipu decides to break, there Narasimha has to come out. In the same way, we do not know. I especially do not know how many doubts are going to be asked during a class. I do not know how many people are going to attend, how many doubts are going to be asked or anything. I'm not saying that questions are evil or anything. I'm just saying that in anticipation, when there are unknowns, we have to ensure that we have to cover for all of them. In this manner, Narasimha covered for all of them, for all the pillars. In that way, we also have to try to do. In this manner, there are plenty of teachings of Sanatani scriptures. If you look at the story will be good, the story will be great, the story will give bhakti. But for the person, for the Aishwaryarthi, for the person who is more inclined towards materialistic pursuits, for that person also there are lessons inside the scriptures. That is the level of compassion of Bhagavan, that he decided to give teachings to not only the saintly people who are anyway going to attain him, but also give in some teachings that are at a Laukika level to the Aishwaryarthi also, to still make the scripture attractive. This shows the level of compassion of Bhagavan. He is supremely compassionate. He is showing Paratva there also. Supreme compassion. Paratva, we say that it means supremacy. It means he is the greatest. Usually we use it in the context of strength and power and ability. But supreme compassion is something that can be shown only by the Supreme Being. And if the Supreme Being does not show compassion, then all of its other qualities will remain useless. In this manner, Deshika has stated. Deshika says, compassion, if not for compassion, then all the good qualities of Paramatma could also be seen as bad qualities. Why? Because they are not going to help us in any way. It means that it is only out of compassion that Bhagavan takes us and grants us moksha. So it is by the compassion of the Almighty Supreme Being that we attain moksha. So there is a Supreme Being, and that Supreme Being is supreme at everything. And it is by the grace of this Supreme Being that we also attain moksha. This is how Paratva is explained by the Vaishnava schools. Is this clear?
See, next week or week after next, sometime we will discuss what is DMK's point of view and what is the answer from Sanatana Dharma. Okay.
We can discuss it next week. No problem.
Okay.
It is from Sanatana Dharma. What is the answer? I believe plenty of people have already answered.
No, I don't think they have rightly answered. I will clarify because I come from Tamil Nadu, like you are also from Tamil Nadu. So Tamil Nadu accept compassionately EVR also, EV Ramasamy Nayakar, but they have a point in raising, they didn't know how to raise it properly. That is my point. So we'll discuss that.
Intentional. I believe that just like how they coin terms like saffron terrorism, internet Hindu, and so on, they intentionally coin terms in such a way that the terms used by them malign Sanatana Dharma. And they coin these terms to refer to seriously bad things that are happening. So when they say that oppression should not happen, yes, they are correct. Oppression should not happen. We should support them. But when they say that oppression is what is called as Sanatana Dharma, there they are creating a definition of Sanatana Dharma, where Sanatana Dharma is something that is great. They are very intentionally giving a wrong meaning to that word. And then they are saying Sanatana Dharma has to be destroyed. So do you understand? So if they just stick to saying oppression has to be destroyed, it is a different thing. But now they are saying Sanatana Dharma has to be destroyed. If you go in that route, the good meaning, the good things, all the good things about Sanatana Dharma, literally everything that is good is there in Sanatana Dharma. Everything that is good is there in Sanatana Dharma. But that also has to be destroyed. That is the meaning that is coming out of the mouth of these people. That is what we need to understand. So anyway, next week we will look at it in greater detail.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. श्रीयोत्सम शकलशोदधि कौस्तुभस्य श्रीवास राघव गुरोस्तनयं ततश्च विद्यावाप्य विबुधोत्तमतां दधानं पूर्वे स्लाहृदि गुरुं करुणाकराख्यम्. Thank you for attending.